Laura started unpacking her suitcase, wondering when her husband, Sean, would arrive. He surprised her with a cruise to the Bahamas to rekindle their marriage. In fact, it was only yesterday evening that he told her about the surprise. All she had to do was pack. Sean had cleared his schedule at work for the trip and had informed both sets of parents. The only thing she hadn't managed to do beforehand was to call James, her lover. Laura was glad that soon all this hiding and lying would end. Her affair with James was over. It was time, especially considering the possibility that she and Sean might soon start a family. She felt relieved that she'd been able to have this brief affair before having children. It had been a one-time thing, her first and last, just to reassure herself of her attractiveness to other men. Thinking about it, she wondered why she had even agreed to see James in the first place. He was attractive and charming, and at first, there was a thrill, but there had been no love. For a while, she believed there needed to be some element of affection to justify having a lover. Now, she had to admit it had been mere infatuation. The excitement had been nice, but it definitely wasn't worth risking her marriage. Thankfully, they had been careful. Neither Sean nor James's wife, Donna, had found out. It was best to end things now and not tempt fate any further. Laura hoped Sean had been truthful when he said he was ready to have children after the cruise. Having kids was one of the reasons she'd married him, though not the main one. She so wanted to become a mother. In her mind, she had already redecorated the guest room twice, once for a boy and once for a girl. The best part of her life was about to begin, and she felt so happy. The sound of a key turning in the lock made her heart flutter. She planned to greet Sean with the warmest hug and the most affectionate kiss she could give. But when the door opened, she exhaled in surprise. "James! You can't come in. Sean will be here any minute. Leave." "Laura!" James called out. "Laura! What are you doing here? Donna is supposed to be arriving soon. This is our cabin." Neither of them seemed to know what to do, other than telling the other to leave. After a few agonizing seconds, James slapped his forehead and said, "Oh, no. Now I get it. This must be our cabin, yours and mine." "What are you talking about? Don't you see? They found out. For some reason, your husband and my wife decided to send us on this lover's cruise. Maybe as a farewell gift to our marriages." "No. That can't be. It doesn't make any sense. Sean told me he arranged this cruise and mentioned he'd have to meet me a bit later because of some last-minute work detail. He said this trip was meant to strengthen our marriage and prepare for having children." Donna told me the exact same thing, almost word for word. Something about the way she said it seemed a little off. Now I understand why. "Are you sure? What if they show up? Show me your ticket." After studying the paper, James explained, "Look, they booked us together in the same cabin. You can wait before unpacking if you want to see if Sean shows up, but I think we've been set up. I'm calling Sean. This must be some crazy mistake." She dialed his number, but nothing happened. The second attempt had the same result. Damn it. The phone company must still be updating the network. That's why I couldn't call you last night. Who told you the phones weren't working? Sean. Guess what Donna told me last night when I mentioned I needed to make a call? She said the phones probably wouldn't work because they disconnected us from the phone plan. They knew we'd try to call each other. No way. This can't be happening. I was planning to end our affair after this cruise. I need my husband and my marriage. I want to have children, Sean's children. Let's get off the ship right now. It's already too late. The ship has left the dock. We've got a couple of days until we reach the first port. Then I'll get off there and go home. I'll beg him not to do anything drastic. And how will you get home? I'll catch a return flight. And how are you going to pay for it? With my credit card, of course. So, you assume our credit cards still work? I hadn't thought about that. Surely, he wouldn't go that far. Go to the purser's desk and see if you can withdraw anything from your card. I'll come with you and check mine too. Their visit to the purser confirmed James's prediction. Their credit cards had been declined. They accessed the internet and discovered that half of their joint accounts had been cut off. Their ATM cards could have provided access to the joint accounts, but those too had been cancelled. The purser allowed them to try calling their spouses, but both received the message, "This number is no longer in service." So, Laura, how much cash do you have? Around $300. And you? About $250. Looks like we won't be doing any extra excursions. I think we're stuck here for the rest of the cruise. I assume you have a return ticket? Yes. What am I supposed to do now? This is going to be the worst week of my life. How could I have been so foolish? Well, we can still enjoy the cruise. Who knows what's in store? All I want to do is cry and think about how to win my husband back. All right. I'll unpack and go check out the free activities. You're not thinking we'll stay in the same cabin, are you? Laura, we've been seeing each other for months under the impression that our spouses knew nothing. What's so different about sharing a cabin now that they do? Well, maybe Sean will be more forgiving if I tell him we didn't share a cabin during the cruise. You're seriously delusional. Good luck with that story. Laura and James ended up sharing a cabin and a bed for the cruise. Laura agreed to let James sleep beside her on the nights he stayed in the cabin, but there was no intimacy. James even found another woman who invited him to her cabin for a couple of nights. All Laura did was eat, sleep, cry, and rehearse her speech for when she saw Sean again. She remained optimistic about Sean's forgiveness. James, however, just rolled his eyes instead of mocking her naivete. Their luggage was transported to the airport by bus, and on the return flight, they sat next to each other but barely spoke. At the baggage claim back in their hometown, James spotted a man holding a sign with both his and Laura's names on it. The man said he'd been hired to take them home. Once James and Laura got into the car, the driver handed each of them an envelope. "You've been served. I thought you were just the driver." "That too. I was paid to drive you and deliver these. You should read the letters from your spouses. I'll be taking you both to 1353 Westwood Avenue." "That's my house," James said. "And what about the lady?" "I was instructed to take both of you there." The answer might be in the letter. Each envelope contained a letter with individual divorce petitions. "Laura and James, we hope you both enjoyed the cruise. Not. If you think that treating you both to a cruise was some sign of affection, drop that thought. I, Sean, purchased the cruise tickets before I found out about your affair. They were non-refundable. After Donna and I met to confirm the betrayal you both put us through, I believe the term for infidelity applies to women as much as to men, we came up with the idea of sending you both on this cruise. We needed time to get our affairs in order, pun intended. We have a shared divorce attorney, which might be a good idea for you two as well. At the very least, it'll be cheaper. Receiving this letter marks the start of a 90-day separation period, which will allow all of us to adjust to the fact that we're no longer married to our current spouses. Rather than maintaining 4 separate households, we decided Donna would move in with me. Laura can move in with James. In case you're wondering, Donna and I haven't pursued any romantic relationship, we didn't even resort to intimacy out of spite. It's not that we don't find each other attractive. It's that we believe we shouldn't be involved with anyone else until we're officially divorced. What a strange concept. Not being intimate with anyone except one's spouse. Seems like I've heard it somewhere before. Oh yes, our marriage vows. Or was it merely a suggestion for you two? The next 90 days of separation are what we propose using to negotiate the division of assets. Donna has taken everything she wanted from her home, and most of it is now in storage. Laura, all your belongings have been packed into boxes and are at James's house. Oh, before I forget, there's something we didn't leave for either of you. All the wedding photos and albums have been thrown out. If you want them, feel free to search the city dump. You destroyed our marriage, so it seems fair to get rid of the wedding pictures. Clearly, marriage didn't mean the same to you as it did to me. Please spare us any excuses from the cheater's handbook. Nothing can justify what you both did, and you did it repeatedly. Forget about counseling, at least marriage counseling, unless you think it will help your future marriage with each other. But here's one more thing to consider: can a cheater who marries another cheater ever truly trust their spouse? We know we couldn't, so we don't need marriage counseling. We really do need to talk about the division of assets. We didn't request anything unusual in the petition. Essentially, a 50-50 split for me and Laura. Donna has a prenuptial agreement that doesn't leave James with much. I can see that splitting everything in half isn't fair, but I can't expect much better if we go to court. Is it fair that Laura should get half after committing a betrayal while I didn't? There should be more serious consequences for both of you, otherwise, you may not feel any repercussions. If there's no punishment, you might believe you'll get away with it again, whether you end up together or marry someone else in the future. Donna and I have spent hours discussing what sort of punishment would be fitting for the two of you. By the way, James, that 20-year-old scotch you had stored is fantastic. Sorry, but the bottle is now empty. Donna came up with some very creative ideas, though most of them were illegal. Here's where we landed. Copies of photos, videos, and records showing you two in intimate moments will be shared with everyone we can think of, our families, schools, churches, neighborhoods, and anyone else we can recall. I hope this has caught your attention. What we really want is to encourage you to settle the terms of the divorce as quickly as possible. Some might see our proposal as a threat or blackmail. We consider it an incentive. We also discussed whether to file a lawsuit against the company where you both work. They don't have a policy against fraternization, and we have no proof that your meetings took place in the office or during work hours. Too bad, we could have used the extra money. I guess you got lucky in that regard. Communication. All future communication should go through our attorneys. Both of us have new phone numbers known only to our attorneys. Our lawyer's contact information is provided below. We suggest holding 1 or 2 meetings to work through any disagreements. Matters like insurance, real estate, loans, mortgages, and alimony could be resolved by trade-offs rather than a 50-50 split. These sessions are strictly for the division of assets. We're not expecting apologies, explanations, requests for forgiveness, or any advice. Donna and Sean. Laura was in tears. The loss of her husband and the family they could have had weighed heavily on her heart. James tried to comfort her, but his own despair lingered until he saw his house. Boxes and boxes of Laura's belongings filled his living room. All of Donna's photos, along with most of her things, were gone. For the first time, it truly felt real. His wife was gone, and he was left with a woman he only cared about when they were in bed. Laura gathered her essential items and clothes she'd need for the next few days. And where's the guest bedroom? The guest bedroom? Darling, if you're staying here, then we'll be sharing a bed, and I don't just mean for sleeping. I'm going to get torn to pieces in this divorce. Donna's father made me sign a prenuptial agreement. Caught cheating, I get nothing. It's your fault I got caught, so you owe me a lot more than you've given so far. Why do you think it's my fault they found out? It could just as easily have been you. We both thought we were being careful. I have no idea how they found out. Do you? I just know I was very careful. But that doesn't change anything. You're either in my bed or out the door. I choose the door. She gathered some things and loaded them into her car. Sean, at least, had dropped her car off at James's house. And what are you planning to do with the rest of my things? I'll give you 72 hours. Not a minute more. Fine. Laura paused and added, I regret the role I played in hurting both our marriages. Good luck with the divorce. After checking into a motel and getting some rest, Laura prepared herself for work. She was looking forward to the daily routine as a distraction from her situation. The distraction didn't last long. Laura met with her best friend at work, Debbie. Debbie had learned about the cruise when Sean arranged for Laura to have time off. He told her that he and Laura were reconnecting and preparing for children. Laura, since you don't have much of a new tan, I'm guessing you and Sean were busy in the cabin working on that baby plan. Instead of the broad smile Debbie expected, Laura's face crumpled, and she burst into tears. Laura ran into her office, and Debbie followed. The story of the cruise, the letter, and the divorce papers were all shown to her friend. Soon, both women were in tears. Sean and Donna. Well, Donna, I think they're back by now. How do you feel about what we did? Awful and satisfied. I hate putting an end to my marriage, but I'm glad we didn't let them get away with it. It seems our marriages meant nothing to them. I feel like I've been deceived my entire married life. Well, probably not that long. As far as we know, they've only been seeing each other for a few months. Sean, do you really think their desire to cheat just began a few months ago? I think their undying love for us started fading within months after the honeymoon. If not, what happened that suddenly made them decide to betray us? I understand your perspective. I still can't grasp why she did this at all. I had no idea she was anyone other than a devoted wife, ready to have children with me. Thank goodness I caught her before we had any kids. Divorce would be a real mess if a child were involved. Do you think James will fight the divorce? If I bring up the prenuptial agreement, he'll probably contest it. Otherwise, he'll walk away with almost nothing. He brought only about $10,000 into the marriage. Do you think photos of them going in and out of the motel room will be enough to prove infidelity? Part of me wishes we had a video of them actually together. Then again, I think a video of them would scar me for life. Those photos likely won't be enough on their own. I'd need Laura's testimony to make it a sure case. I don't know. It sounds odd, but Laura has a pretty high moral standard, other than cheating on her husband. She may have had an affair, but she might also tell the truth about it. Could you talk to her for me? Maybe. Let's play it by ear for now. You handle your divorce, and I'll handle mine. As far as I can tell, there's no rush. By the way, how long do you think you can tolerate me here before you throw my scrawny backside out? As far as I'm concerned, you can stay as long as you want. I was surprised by how comfortable it's been having you here and how quickly we settled into a routine. I've enjoyed our conversations and the mutual support. Sean paused and smiled. And after careful consideration, I'd say your backside isn't scrawny. Thank goodness you noticed. Now I won't need to slip testosterone supplements into your food. I've been trying hard to get even a little reaction from you. I need some assurance now and then that I'm still desirable. Oh, I've noticed, but please, don't stop trying. They both smiled. More than a month passed before Sean and Laura arranged a meeting. Since James hadn't seen any photos, he contested the claim of proof of infidelity, which would delay Donna's divorce. Each attorney came prepared with a list of negotiation points. Laura's attorney was allowed to present his list first. My client requests that all joint checks and savings be divided equally between her and her husband. She proposes keeping the car and assuming the loan, with his name removed from the title. In return, she agrees to have her name removed from his car's title, and he will take on that loan. Both parties will obtain their own auto insurance. Regarding the house, she suggests either selling it and splitting the equity or allowing him to buy her out by paying half of the equity, as assessed by a certified real estate appraiser. She will be removed from the deed if he retains ownership. Sean's attorney replied, "We have no issue with these terms. Her husband has decided to sell the house. He'll put it on the market within 90 days. What else does she want?" Laura's attorney spoke up, "My client agrees to these terms only if your client agrees to speak with her privately for 1 hour." "No," said Sean. "Then my client requests 12 counseling sessions. If your client refuses to participate, we'll file for $3,000 per month in spousal support and a claim on the home's equity. You know we can win both with the right judge." Sean's attorney informed him that local judges tend to favor ordering counseling and allowing the wife to stay in the home. While she likely wouldn't receive $3,000 per month in spousal support and the house, she would probably get more than he was offering. The attorney further advised Sean to accept the 1-hour meeting and be thankful there weren't worse demands. "My client will give his wife 1 hour, provided she signs an agreement in advance. Sean, will you agree to talk with me rather than just sitting here?" Sean was irritated but agreed. "He's never lied to me. I accept." When Sean and Laura were alone, he told her, "We're done at 3:32. I deserve that. You promised to listen to me." Sean nodded and stared at her. "Sean, I have sinned, against you and against God. I'm not going to make excuses. I gave myself a pass when I convinced myself it was all right. I lied to myself, and to you, and to God. I was unfaithful. I broke my marriage vows. I betrayed the person I love most in this world. I deserve punishment. I think you probably agree with everything I've just said." Sean nodded again. "The question is about punishment. Is divorce too severe a punishment? Is a second chance too much to ask? Please, imagine a scale of justice. For divorce, place the weight of my infidelity on the negative side. It makes that side sink down. Is there anything else you'd add to the negative side? Were there other reasons why I wasn't a good wife to you? Aside from having an affair, was I ever disrespectful to you or our marriage? Did anyone ever come to you with complaints about my behavior or tell you I was speaking badly about you behind your back? Did I ever refuse you intimacy, even when I was involved with someone else? Did you ever doubt my love for you until you found out about James and me?" Sean shook his head. "Sean, is there anything you can think of about me that might go on the positive side of the scale, the side that could give me a second chance? Do you believe I was a deceitful person when you married me? No, you were the most perfect person I'd ever known. That's why your betrayal hurts so much. What did I do that made you turn away from me?" He struggled to hold back tears. "Sean, my dear, it wasn't you. You were everything I needed. The problem was that I convinced myself I wanted more and deserved it. And what about our family life? Did I do something wrong? Laura, you became not only my wife but also my best friend. I wanted to hear about your day when I came home, and you seemed to want to hear about mine. I felt guilty for spending too much of our budget on things for myself, while you hardly asked for anything. I enjoyed talking politics with you, even though you were almost always wrong." He managed to make them both smile. "I loved our conversations about kids and our future. I never, ever doubted you when I was away on business trips. We were so in love, or at least that's what I thought. I know you said this was all your fault, but I can't help wondering if I took you for granted or did something that made you turn to James." Now he was crying. "Look at the scales, Sean. Are they anywhere near balanced? Do you have even a drop of love for me to add to the side of a second chance? I know it's hard to believe any promises I make after breaking our vows, but I swear on the lives of our unborn children that I'll never betray you again. Please, give me a second chance." Sean thought about his options until his head ached. "Laura, it's going to take time for me to get rid of the image of you and James together in that motel room. I'll agree to have my attorney hold off on the divorce papers we just signed, on one condition, if you're willing to testify against James in Donna's divorce." "What would I testify to?" James is challenging the photos of you two leaving the motel room as proof that you were intimate. Legally, he's probably right. You testify that you and he did have a physical relationship. So you lied when you said you had a video of us together. Well, there's nothing we can do about that now. Sean, I don't mind telling the truth about the affair. Yes, we were intimate in that motel room. I regret putting two marriages at risk, but I won't lie to save James from the consequences. He's not worth lying for. Both he and I deserve the consequences. I just hope it doesn't have to mean divorce. Thank you. I'll inform my attorney. Sean, what does this mean for us? Will you let me come back to the house? Donna is staying there now. You'll need to wait. I don't want to ask her to leave until she has a place to go, but I did also promise to put our home up for sale. If you postpone the divorce, you wouldn't need to sell the house. I'd be willing to wait until Donna leaves while we take this time to reconnect. Maybe we should date each other again. We're both changed people. We need to rediscover each other and our relationship. With God's help, we can find our way back, love each other again, and be ready to fill our home with children. I'm not sure I can fill the house with kids, but I'd like to try. I like the idea. I'll let Donna know. Donna wasn't as pleased with the news as Sean expected, but she managed to smile and said, "Thank you." When James heard that Laura was willing to testify about their encounters at the motel, he surrendered. He was surprised that Donna agreed to pay off his car loan and credit card debt to compensate him for losing his share of equity in their home. With the current housing market, selling their house would barely cover the mortgage and realtor fees. Spousal support wasn't part of the prenuptial agreement. Sean was puzzled by Donna's generosity and asked her about it. I wanted to burn that man to the ground. His betrayal hurt me more than anything else ever has. But then I looked at you. You were deeply hurt too, but you couldn't bring yourself to be vengeful toward Laura. That scale of justice made me rethink everything. My marriage with James had mostly positive aspects before the affair. My father thinks I'm crazy, but I feel so much better after the divorce than I would have if I'd sought harsher revenge. Thank you, Sean, for everything. She hugged him and gave him a passionate kiss. Sean was surprised. The kiss warmed him and challenged his belief that Donna wasn't someone he could ever be interested in, romantically or otherwise. Donna, that was. I'm sorry, Sean, but you mean a lot to me. At times, it's been hard not to show you how much I care. I hope you'll forgive me. Forgive you. I wanted to tear your clothes off and make love to you. That's the most excitement I've felt since all this started. You certainly know how to kiss. So, would you like to try again? More than anything. The problem is, I'm trying to figure out if I can give Laura a second chance. How can I do that if we're involved? Well, first of all, if we start seeing each other, it wouldn't be an affair. We're both legally free of marital vows now. And second, who says you can't give me a first chance while giving Laura a second? Sean's logic and emotions wrestled for control. I need some time to think. I'm going to bed, alone, and see if I can get some sleep. He headed to bed, but his options didn't seem any clearer or easier. Donna knocked on the open door. She was wearing a nightgown that appeared almost translucent in the hallway light. Sean, can I sleep next to you tonight? I'm having trouble sleeping. I promise to behave. Please. Although he knew it wasn't the best idea, he relented. All right, if you promise. She slipped into bed beside him, resting her hand on his chest and her leg across his. Donna kissed him on the cheek. Thank you. It took Sean a while to fall asleep. His sleep was restless, filled with vivid dreams. In one, he was at a beach with Laura, relaxing under a palm tree and enjoying tropical drinks. Laura looked at him warmly, drawing closer with affection. Sean drifted in and out of sleep, only to wake up and find Donna beside him, looking at him with a playful smile. "Weren't you going to behave?" he asked, feeling a mix of surprise and appreciation. "Are you saying it wasn't good?" she replied with a light laugh. "Perhaps I should try a little harder." Sean stood, feeling a need to clear his thoughts. I'm not sure this is fair to Laura. Didn't you hear? "All's fair in love and war," she said with a gentle smile. "I think I should thank you," he replied. "It's been a while since I've felt this close to someone." "Maybe that's a sign of what's possible," she added with a thoughtful look. "Seriously, Sean," Donna continued, "we'll be living together, at least for a while. Don't you want to see if we're compatible in more ways than one?" James accepted his situation and withdrew. He received a copy of the divorce decree, and there was no further contact. Sean, meanwhile, had an active social schedule. He enjoyed spending time with Laura and began remembering what had drawn him to her in the first place. She wasn't pushy, but it was clear she was committed to earning back his trust in whatever way she could. Donna hadn't moved out, even though James had left the home they had once shared. One evening, Sean told Donna they needed to talk. "Donna, I'm incredibly happy. I have a beautiful, intelligent, and caring woman living with me who's brought more joy into my life than I ever expected. I've also reconnected with the woman who was the love of my life for years. She hurt me, and trusting her is hard. But I've rekindled enough feelings for her to wonder if I'm giving you an unfair advantage by having you here, especially with the bond we've developed. There's a vacant house. Why don't you consider moving back?" "I'm not moving back home because, as far as I'm concerned, this is my home. I want to be with you. Wherever we're together, that's home. If you feel I have an unfair advantage by staying here, then that's good for me. I'm fighting for the man I love. I don't understand why you'd want a woman who betrayed you when you have someone who never has and never will. I don't want to undermine your sense of fairness. As much as I hate the idea, I'll move out if that's what you need. I plan to win your love away from Laura, no matter where I live. I trust your judgment. And though you haven't said it, I know you love me, Sean. I'll wait, but I hope for a future where we're married and have children. Now, let's go to bed for another night, and I hope you're not planning to just sleep." Months passed. Laura felt better, especially after hearing that Donna had moved out. She was disappointed, however, that Sean had never visited her at their old home. They hugged and kissed now, but there was no intimacy. She hoped he remembered their time together, but most of their time was spent recalling fond memories of their courtship and marriage. They never discussed her affair. Before the next meeting between Sean and Laura, there was a 2-week break. Laura was confident he was finally going to announce his decision. She felt she had reason to be optimistic. She sat down at the conference room table, only to find that Sean was there, and so was Donna. Laura sat quietly, holding back tears. "Laura, I wanted both of you here because I find myself constantly shifting back and forth between you, both mentally and emotionally. You both need to hear what I have to say. Our current situation isn't fair to either of you, and honestly, it doesn't feel fair to me either. I've come to a decision. Laura, I've managed to forgive you. Our time together recently reminded me of why I fell in love with you and how wonderful our marriage was before the affair. I was very tempted to try to rebuild our relationship, of course, under certain conditions. The problem is, I can't forget. While I might be willing to take a personal risk in keeping you as my wife, I can't risk that the mother of my children might be unreliable. As painful as it has been for us, imagining the impact on our children makes it even harder to bear. In fact, Laura, I made this decision a couple of months ago. Since then, I've been working on a new divorce agreement. Because of the many wonderful years we shared for most of our marriage, I want to give you the opportunity to support yourself and prepare for the future. I have no doubt you'll find a man willing to take that chance and start a family with you. I've sent your attorney the new settlement terms, which are far more favorable to you than before. I truly wish you all the best, Laura. I really do. Sean and Donna rose to leave. Sean, can't you? Her voice trailed off as she noticed a small curve on Donna's stomach. In that moment, she knew she had lost what she wanted most.